Welcome to the Enterprise Architect series. My name is AJ, and I'm here to make enterprise architecture less complicated. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a critical gap I see in many organizations: why ITOM without service mapping is incomplete. A lot of companies invest heavily in IT operations management. They deploy discovery, they build monitoring dashboards, they can see servers, VMs, cloud instances, databases, containers. It looks like visibility. But here's the problem. Infrastructure visibility alone is not operational intelligence. Knowing that a server is down is operational data. Knowing which business service is impacted, which customers are affected, and what revenue is at risk, that's operational intelligence. Without service mapping, you don't truly understand service-to-infrastructure relationships. Incident impact analysis becomes guesswork. Change risk becomes reactive instead of predictive. AI ops turns into alert noise instead of actionable insight. Your CMDB becomes a technical inventory, not a strategic asset. ITOM shows you components. Service mapping shows you context. And context is what enables intelligent decision-making. In this video, I'll break down the difference between infrastructure view and service view, why most CMDB initiatives fail without proper service modeling, the operational risks of ignoring service topology, and how mature enterprises move from monitoring tools to true operational intelligence. If you're an architect, IT leader, or platform owner trying to justify ITOM investment, this episode is for you. Let's simplify it. Let's make it practical. Let's begin. In this, we'll approach the topic in 5 structured layers. First, a real enterprise scenario. A production incident where infrastructure visibility existed, but service awareness did not. Second, the core architectural problem. Why traditional ITOM implementations stop at component monitoring instead of enabling service intelligence. Third, a capability gap analysis, identifying what's missing between discovery data and business impact understanding. Fourth, the target state model. What a mature, service-aware IT operations ecosystem looks like when service mapping is properly integrated with CMDB, incident, change, and AI ops. And finally, a closing architectural insight. The strategic shift required to move from reactive monitoring to proactive, business-aligned operational intelligence. This session is not about tools, it's about architecture maturity. And more importantly, it's about building operational clarity that leadership can rely on. Many organizations assume ITOM is implemented the moment discovery is operational. They see thousands of servers in the CMDB. They see cloud instances syncing. They see databases, load balancers, network devices. On dashboards, everything looks mature. But here's what happens in real life. A critical application slows down during peak business hours. Monitoring shows high CPU on 2 Linux servers. The infrastructure team sees the alert, but leadership asks a different question. Which business service is impacted? Is this affecting checkout, payment processing, vendor onboarding, internal HR payroll, or just a non-critical reporting tool? And suddenly, nobody has a clear answer. Because discovery shows components, but it does not show service relationships unless service mapping exists. Real-life example 1, e-commerce outage. Imagine an e-commerce company during a festive sale. A database server goes down. Infrastructure teams know hostname, IP address, OS version, CPU utilization. But they don't know that this database supports the checkout microservice, which in turn supports revenue transactions, which is currently processing 5,000 orders per minute. So instead of immediate executive escalation, the incident is treated like a standard P2 infrastructure issue. Revenue impact continues for 30 to 40 minutes before someone manually traces the dependency chain. That delay exists because service context is missing. Real-life example 2, change failure. A network change is approved. Discovery shows the device. CMDB shows it exists. But without service mapping, there is no understanding of which business services depend on that network segment. Change risk analysis is superficial. Impacted application owners are not notified. The change goes live. Multiple downstream services fail. War room starts. The root cause? Not poor monitoring. Poor service modeling. The core architectural gap. When service mapping is absent, CMDB becomes an inventory database. Incident teams operate reactively. Change management cannot calculate blast radius. AI ops correlations lack business context. Leadership dashboards show technical metrics, not service health. The organization thinks it has visibility. But visibility without service context is incomplete architecture. Infrastructure awareness is not service intelligence, and that gap only becomes visible during a crisis. There is a fundamental distinction that many organizations overlook. Discovery gives you visibility. Service mapping gives you intelligence. Discovery shows you what exists. It identifies servers, virtual machines, containers, databases, network devices, cloud instances. It builds technical topology, infrastructure relationships like server to database, server to load balancer, server to network segment. This is valuable, but it answers only one category of question: what components are connected? It does not answer what business service depends on this, which customer-facing capability is at risk, what is the revenue or operational impact, who owns this service end-to-end, what is the blast radius of failure. That's where service mapping comes in. Service mapping moves the conversation from infrastructure to business service architecture. It connects infrastructure to application components, to application services, to business capabilities. Now, instead of asking which server is down, you ask which business service is degraded. Instead of CPU is at 95%, you see checkout service performance is degraded, potential revenue impact. That is the difference between operational visibility and operational intelligence. The real issue is not missing tools, it's missing service architecture. Most organizations implement discovery, CMDB population, event management, but they skip business service definition, application service mapping, service taxonomy design. So the CMDB fills with thousands of technical CIs. Servers are discovered, databases are mapped, events are correlated, but no one formally defines what is a business service, how applications support it, who owns it, how critical it is. The result? You see a server is down, but you don't see that the checkout service is impacted. You don't see revenue risk. You don't see customer impact. That gap is not a monitoring failure. It's a service modeling failure. And without service modeling, ITOM remains operationally visible, but strategically blind. You can see that infrastructure components, like a server or database, are down. But without service context, you cannot answer which revenue-generating service is impacted, which customer journey is disrupted, which SLA or regulatory commitment is breached, which business owner must be informed. All you see is a technical alert. There is no business priority, no impact clarity, no intelligent escalation. Alerts remain technical noise because they are not connected to business services. And when alerts are not tied to services, IT operates on symptoms instead of impact. A capability gap analysis makes this clear. Level 1 is infrastructure visibility. You know what is up or down. Level 2 is the missing service layer. Without defined business and application services, alerts have no business context, no prioritization logic, and no ownership clarity. Level 3 is impact propagation. Without proper service mapping, every incident requires manual dependency tracing, tribal knowledge, and war room diagnostics to understand blast radius. The gap between Level 1 and Level 3 is the service model, and without that layer, operational maturity cannot scale. Architect-level insight reveals something important. Mean time to resolution, MTTR, is not reduced by hiring better engineers. It's reduced by designing better service models. When services are clearly defined and mapped, impact is identified instantly. Ownership is clear. Escalation is targeted. Root cause isolation is faster. Without service context, engineers spend time discovering dependencies instead of resolving issues. Infrastructure visibility without service modeling only increases alert volume. It creates activity, not clarity. And operational noise is the enemy of fast resolution. The target state model designs ITOM correctly, from the business down, not the infrastructure up. It starts with clearly defined business services aligned to business capabilities. Then it maps application services that enable those business outcomes. Next, it connects the underlying infrastructure, servers, databases, networks, and cloud resources as supporting components. Finally, event intelligence sits on top, correlating alerts and calculating business impact, not just technical failure. In this model, alerts roll up to services. Services reflect business health. Impact is calculated automatically. That's when ITOM shifts from monitoring components to protecting business value. Service mapping changes everything. When a server goes down, the impact doesn't stop at the infrastructure layer. It propagates automatically, server to application, service to business service. If that business service is critical, a major incident can be triggered immediately, with the right priority, the right stakeholders, and the right urgency. There is no guessing, no dependency hunting, no war room discovery phase. Without service mapping, every incident starts with investigation instead of resolution. And that manual tracing of dependencies is what dramatically increases MTTR. This is real ITOM maturity, achieving alert correlation based on service context, noise suppression, auto incident triggering based on impact, and real-time business impact calculation. The closing insight is this: ITOM without service mapping is simply monitoring. ITOM with service mapping is operational intelligence. The solution is not to buy more tools, but to improve your service model. Key takeaways: discovery gives visibility. Service mapping gives intelligence. MTTR improves through better service modeling, not more alerts. Build the service model first, then connect the infrastructure. Next episode would be on how weak CMDB design blocks AIOps adoption. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you need any further assistance. Namaste, and thank you.